Okay, my beautiful friends, sit back and relax because it's about to start. What am I talking about? First of all, this is my pre-market report. Trading doesn't start for about 34 minutes from the time I am doing this lovely video blog. And we got some interesting information, but not a shock to a single person that follows this blog. So, with regard to inflation, this big report this morning here, inflation continues to rise. Yeah. But if you were to turn on, let's just say CNBC, the headline is inflation is cooling. So it's kind of a play on words. Inflation is not cooling. Inflation continues to rise, although at a slower pace than was predicted by the rocket scientist economists that were polled. So of course it's cooling. But here's the truth behind it all. Inflation continues to rise. Not only that, food inflation, I don't have to tell you this if you shop, is outpacing everything. And with regard to food inflation, seeing what's happening here with energy as of late, you can expect food inflation to get much, much worse. Inflation overall is going to continue to get worse, and it gets better than that. So according to their numbers, what they're allowing us to know, okay, so you can laugh about this, year over year, they want you to know that inflation overall is rising at just 5%. I don't think that's right. How about you? What they're also allowing us to know is real wages, that is what people are earning based against rising inflation, is only down 1.3%. These are fake, all right? None of the data that they fist feed any of us is real. But that's the story this morning. And the market stock futures this morning were flat prior to the release of this big inflation report. And then all of a sudden, I'm telling you, boom! Is it going to last? We'll see. Dow futures up right now about 200 points across the board. Futures are higher here. What else is going on? Energy is getting a bit higher. Crude oil, Bitcoin over 30,000. Gold and silver doing pretty well this morning. The relative strength of the dollar is lower now. Global bond yields, by some miracle, they're just coming down. So let's put that together real quick. I'm laughing. They want you to believe that a simultaneous rally in world equity markets and the bond market is completely normal. How about it's not completely normal to see this? Who's rigging the debt market yet again? Let me think. If I had to guess on who is possibly getting in here and just buying it all, I would say it's the central banks. How about you? People, they're doing exactly what you and I expected them to do. Okay, maintaining the illusion of stability here. How many times have I said this over the past, I don't know how freaking long now. If they can do this, they can maintain the illusion here. And this rally that we're seeing in global bond markets right now, it's going to push cash into the stock market. And that's exactly what's going on. But understanding the mechanism here, it's just making the distortions which exist in global markets much, much, much worse. It's not getting any better here. Just like inflation isn't getting any better. Inflation continues to rise, but they're going to convince you. They're trying desperately to convince you that what you're seeing is not real. It's always the same story. And how they, you know what bothers me? I'm going to tell you what bothers me personally, how they twist it. Inflation is cooling. So people who don't understand would see that kind of a headline and believe that inflation is coming down. Understand, President Imbecile wants to be reelected. Okay, we know he's running again. So he has to make it seem to you that he's doing a good job. His economic policies are working. Inflation is coming down. No, it's not coming down. But they can't allow you to know the truth. But that's the fact here. And with regard to inflation, people, like I've been explaining to you, you haven't seen anything yet. An enormous effort is going in to prop up this debt market. How do they do it? They can't just say it. Central banks are not magical. They don't have any godlike power. So they have to get into the market and buy the debt. And doing that, this revolving door, issuing debt through one door, buying it back through another door, issuing debt through one door, buying it back through another door, this process, as I've shown you since for a decade, is massively inflationary. Duh. And that's what we're seeing here. Now, on top of this inflation report, again, global bond yields dropping, MMRI coming down this morning here, we got a couple of warnings. Well, one big warning. Again, this is from the man himself, Warren Buffett. Yeah, I think we all love Warren Buffett, don't we? He's saying, warning, that this banking crisis is not over and we are going to see more bank failures. Oh, really? Warren, guess what, dude? You're way behind the curve because everyone that follows this blog knew this since day one. We are not even close here. And what did the IMF, the International Freaking Monetary Fund, tell us yesterday? Oh, the banks are in a precarious position. Oh, really? What do you mean? No deposits? Oh, wait, they are getting deposits now from the smaller banks that are failing, but no loans and no deals. They're not lending here. The availability of credit is being choked off to small businesses and the consumer themselves who are being exterminated. Oh, who's been telling you this story since time immemorial? How about me? You and I have covered this repeatedly, and we haven't seen anything yet with regard to that. This is, not only is this an integration, the word they're using, of the banking system, or a consolidation, they can't allow you to know that here. It's an extermination. Notice these words: elimination, extermination, consolidation, and it's all the same. And this is what we're seeing here. And this mechanism is, in my view, is just getting started. Also, on the economic front, now this is kind of interesting here. So our economy is doing great, right? That's what we're being told. Mortgage demand year over year is down 31%. That's just freaking lovely too, isn't it? So, what we have here, people, let me just calm down here. It's too early for me to get bent out of shape, and I've only had 1 cup of coffee. Actually, that's not true. I had 1.5 cups of coffee. We have a global economy here which is essentially dead, and it's being buried right now. Okay, but global stock markets are rising here. And how does this happen? Again, look, there's no connection anymore. You know this. The stock market is in fantasy land, la land, wherever it wants to be, as the global economy is cratering. And this is just more easy money being pumped into the debt market. The central banks here creating this rally in the global bond market, keeping rates suppressed. And this mechanism is so simple to understand. If you're new here, by any central bank keeping rates suppressed, it creates a deliberate environment of risk. As I have explained to you, the whole financial, everything in life, really, everything in life is based on 2 things: cause and effect. I've covered this a million times, cause and effect. When you have a situation like this, central banks in here buying more debt, keeping rates suppressed, it opens up a doorway for cash to make its way into risk assets. Now, this is an illusion, again. By the markets being propped up, people, and they hear that inflation is cooling, people think everything is fine. Again, it's a way to keep the general population who cannot walk and chew gum at the same time, is the way to keep these people lulled into some sense of that they think everything is fine. You understand? It's a game. It's a geopolitical game. It's a game played between the central banks and the so-called representatives that we have. We have no representation there. It's also a game of deception. It's a game of distractions. Focus on Donald Trump. Forget about everything else that's going on. Forget about the federal budget deficit, which is unbelievable. Again, just this fiscal year alone, we're up $406 billion over the previous year. Who's surprised at that? This is the mechanism here. It must go on and on. But again, where's the revolt? Where's the revolution? Where are the people getting up and saying, I've had enough of this? They're nowhere. Again, look outside. Dead silence. The silence is deafening in many ways. People, it tells me that people are just, they've become zombies. They don't, and either that or they don't even care. I don't know what it is here. I think it's a mechanism of dumbing down. The people have been dumb, except, not you and I or the people that follow this blog here. We're all keenly aware of what's going on. But the mechanism here of lulling people into some kind of animal state where they just live in the moment. They don't think about what's coming down the pike. They're trying to survive. I really think people have become really like animals. All right, they're living in the moment. No savings, negative savings. As a matter of fact, they continue to destroy themselves by borrowing and borrowing. Credit card debt, household debt, personal debt exploding. Meanwhile, the savings rate is in the negative. Do you see what's going on here? People are being wiped the freak out. But what are you and I doing about it? We're bidding against the debt, becoming our own central bank, holding hard assets, physical silver, my favorite asset of all time, gold, positioning ourselves for what's coming down the pike, commodities, commodities, commodities. Want me to say it again? Commodities, commodities, commodities. That's where we need to be moving forward. Just imagine when this whole thing gets real, people. When it gets real, again, this mechanism of buying all the debt, what central banks are doing, artificially suppressing rates, it's going to snap back. All it's doing is, again, creating incredible distortions across the spectrum of asset classes. There's no price discovery anymore. Nothing matters. Earnings don't matter. Forward guidance doesn't matter. PE ratios don't matter. All the stuff that's supposed to matter in a real environment doesn't matter anymore. But being that you and I realize that, it gives us enormous power. Enormous freaking power. All right, people, with that said, I'm going to let you go. I will see all of you later for my live stream, 1:05 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Please have your questions ready for me. Let's cover this stuff. All right? I'll see you later.